Chapter 3. An hour later, all Redwallers interested in hearing the news were gathered in Cavern Hall. They waited respectfully until Hither-yon Jem had sipped at a tankard of mulled October ale. He smacked his lips appreciatively, glanced at the eagle faces of his audience, and then commenced. Well, now, my good friends, these last 2 winters were so deep and hard the main old world here couldn't make it up to your abbey. But here we are now. Other seasons were fine, springtime's fresh, summer's warm and autumn's agreeable. There weren't much to report on until this late autumn, when we came across a mighty strange thing, didn't we, Walt? Putting aside his tankard, the mole blinked dozily in the warm firelight glow. Aye, it were strange and odd, very odd. Sister Screeve dipped her quill into some ink swiftly. Strange and odd? In what way, pray tell? Jem gazed into the fire as if reliving the incident. It were a sunny morn, but misty. We was roving along the tide line, southwest, a couple of leagues from the mountain stronghold of Salamanderstron. There on the shore we espied a small vessel, wrecked it were, and washed upon the rocks. So me and Walt, we went to see what we could do, right, Walt? But the old mole had slipped off into a slumber, wooed by the fire in the comfortable armchair. Jem smiled and continued with his narrative. Looks like I'm bound to tell this tale alone. Aye, 'twere a small craft with a simple square rigged sail, smashed to bits and stoved in by the rocks. All that was in it was a few empty food sacks, a broken water cask, and some fish bones. But there were tracks aplenty, running up the beach and heading northeast. We took a good look at them marks, made by a single beast they were. I tell ye, made paw prints like we'd never seen. Great, wide, blurry ones with deep, curving claw marks, bigger than those of a badger. The claws are broader, more pointed, not blunt like a badger's, but very sharp and long. By the blurring of the tracks, I figured this must be a beast with long hair coming from his paws. By the length of the paw marks and their depth, Walt reckoned that the thing would be about the same size as a big male badger. Anywho, we was thinking of making our way over to visit you at Redwall afore winter set in, so seeing as the tracks were in the same direction, we decided to follow them just to get a good look at this odd beast. Jem paused to refill his tankard, giving the abbot the chance to inquire. Did you not visit the mountain of Salamanderstron at all? The wanderer nodded. Aye, we stopped there at the end of the spring season. That old mountain fortress hasn't changed a whit. Lady Melesme is still the badger ruler of the western shores. She and those hares sent you all their fond best wishes. Oh, I forgot to mention, Melesme's sending you a gift. Brother Gordale leaned forward. A gift? For us? Jem took a draught of his ale. Do you remember about 4 summers back when she visited here with that troop of long patrol hares? Both your bells were down for cleaning while you'd repaired the bell ropes. Do you recall that? Formal Bruffy wrinkled his velvety brow. Oh, aye, remembers that. A girt badger lady say she missed the sounds of her bells. She gerty fond of bell noises. Skipper nodded. That's right, so she was. Lady Melesme said to me if our bells were down, she should have something to mark the times of day and night. Jem winked at the other. Well, she's sending you a drum. Sister Screeve paused from her recording. A drum? The traveller explained. Oh, but what a drum, ma'am. When I saw it was only half made. The drum skin was taken from a big dead shark. The hares found it washed up on the beach one morning. While Esme and the hares were making the casing from 2 great circles of elmwood and the ribbon from shark bone. I saw the hares at the forge beating out gold and silver to decorate the rim and edges of the drum. 'Tis going to be a drum like a which you'd never seen. Abbot Humble folded both paws into his wide sleeves. How kind and thoughtful of our friend Melesme. We must think of something to send her in return. Perhaps a beautifully woven robe and a keg of sweet damson and elderberry wine. She was very fond of my wine when she visited us. Sister Screeve turned to Jem impatiently. Yes, but on with the tale, my friend. Did you and Walt follow the tracks which ran up the shore? Jem took up the threads of his tale again. Oh, aye, ma'am, we followed it right enough. It looked like the beasts were travelling fast, though, as if 'twere in haste to get clear of the coast. Walt and me thought mayhaps the creature had been pursued, but we weren't in no rush, just followed at our own pace, slow and steady. All Walt and myself, we never hurried for no beast. Those tracks was as clear as the snout on your face, so we plodded on after them. The trail took us off from the shore, up into the hills, over the cliff tops. From there it was all trekking across heaths and moorlands, fording rivers and brooks and streams. It took quite a few days, I can tell you. We made it into the southwest marches of mossflower woodlands. Jem savoured the taste of his October ale. Aye, 'twas of a nightfall when we reached the trees. Like we did, man, because it came on to storm something fearful. So me and old Walt dug in under a rocky ledge for shelter. Ugh, wouldn't be out in a storm like that for anything. Sister Armel interrupted Jem. That big thunderstorm, but it was only 5 nights ago. The hedgehog nodded, holding out his tankard for a refill. Right, yeah, pretty mess. Otherwise we'd arrived at your abbey 2 days afore the snow. Finding that beast cost us time. So did you find the creature? Abbot Humble inquired. The traveller held his forepaws up to the fireglow. That we did, cousin. 'Twas the following morning when it happened. Neither of us was sure of the trail, you see. That storm washed out the tracks. While we was wandering along as best we could, when old Walt hears noises, a sort of grunting and groaning and yowling, like as if some beast was in pain. So he goes towards the den, and there it was, trapped under a big old rotted sycamore that the storm must have blowed down. Got it right across its back, snapped the thing's spine, I reckon. 'Twas clear the beast was dying. It was built like a big male badger, though its limbs was thicker and shorter. Strange-looking thing, pointed, weaselly snout, with a thick, bushy-furred body, blackish-brown, with lighter stripes running down both sides to a tail thicker than a squirrel's. But you should have seen its claws and teeth. Never seen such dangerous claws or so many sharp fangs in one mouth. Makes your blood run cold to see that animal, snarling and growling and screeching and trying to bite its way through a tree trunk 10 times its size. Formal Bruffy twitched his snout curiously. Boy Yogi, what did he do, sir? Heather Gems shrugged. Wasn't a lot we could do, really. As soon as it saw us, the beast roared and yelled even louder. That fallen sycamore was a great old woodland giant of a thing. A score of creatures couldn't have budged it. So me and Walt tried talking to the beast. We told it we was friends and we didn't mean it no harm. It just bared its fangs at us and said no beast is friend of Ascor. You come near or tear you to pieces. Ascor slays all enemy. Every beast is an enemy. Jem paused and looked around at his audience. Well, friends, I ask you, what were we to do? Old Walt threw Ascor his canteen in case he was thirsty, but he flung it back at us. When I tossed him some food, he did the same thing. Can you imagine it? Laying there under a big fallen tree, dying of a broken back and refusing food, drink and friendship. I lost patience with Ascor and told him he was a thick-headed fool. He just gave a nasty laugh and said, Gulo will come, tell them to say you'll never find the walking stone. Ascor soon will die, then you can eat me. A horrified gasp came from Sister Armel. Eat him? Jem clutched his jaw grimly. Aye, those were his very words, miss. I told him we had no intention of eating him. Then he laughed and showed us those fangs of his, and he said, You're no fool, not eat Ascor, weak fool. I'm Wolverine, all beasts are my enemy. Wolverine eat enemy, grow strong on their blood. When Gulo finds me, I will be long dead, not good to eat. You tell him Ascor wins, Walking Stone is mine forever. Gulo will never find Walking Stone. Abbot Humble was keen to hear more. What did you do then? Jem sat back. Nothing. We did nothing. We knew his name was Ascor and that he was a wolverine, though we'd never heard of such a creature. That beast must have been mad with the pain in his broken back was causing him, but it weren't more than that. Ascor wouldn't talk to us anymore. He just lay there waiting for death to take him, muttering on about the one called Gulo and saying how he'd never get his paws on the thing called Walking Stone. So I asked him to tell me more about Gulo and the Walking Stone. Ascor went quiet for a bit and then he spoke. Sister Screeve dipped her quill pen into the ink. Can you recall the Wolverine's words? Jem continued. He said, Gulo the Savage is my brother. No beast is more bloodthirsty and fierce than Gulo. We live in the lands of ice beyond the great sea. Dramz, our father, ruled over all, even though he was growing sick and old. He was obeyed as long as he owned the Walking Stone. It was his wish that after his death he would share the Walking Stone and rule together. But Gulo did not want this. He murdered our father and took the Walking Stone. It was I, Ascor, who stole it from Gulo. The moment I did this, my life was in danger. Gulo had the white foxes and ermine on his side. I would be a dead beast if I stayed in the lands of ice, but the Walking Stone was as much mine as his, so I stole a boat and sailed away. Gulo will come after me, as sure as night follows day. He would find where the Walking Stone is, then kill me and eat me. Not now, though. I will already be dead. Gulo the Savage will not find where I have hidden the Walking Stone. He cannot be ruler without it. Ascor has won. Jem paused. So I asked him where he'd hidden the Walking Stone. I never expected Ascor to tell me, and I'm not sure he did, but these were his exact words. Sister, you'd best write this down while I can still remember. Where the sun falls from the sky and dances at a pebble's drop, where little leaves slay big leaves, where wood meets earth I stop, safe from the savage son of Dramz, where the secret lies alone, the symbol of all power, the mighty walking stone. Jem glanced at the abbot. A riddle if ever I heard one, eh, cousin? Humble nodded slowly. Aye, a very puzzling rhyme, Jem. Tell me what happened then. Twirling dregs in his tankard, the old hedgehog quaffed the last of his ale. 'Twas a terrible thing to see. Asker reared up and shouted, "I defeated ye, Gulo, me Asker, I won. When next I see your face, I will laugh at you in the light of the fires of the hell gates." Then he gave a mighty roar and gripped the fallen trunk with all four paws. You should have seen the size of that log, but I swear he actually lifted it a fraction. Then he slumped back and fell dead, probably from the exertion and the strain of his broken back. We couldn't get him out for burying, so me and Walt covered his body over with loam and dead leaves, leaving Asker where he lay. Then we set out for Redwall Abbey. Old Walt, being a rock of good sense, made sure we covered our tracks well. No beast could have followed us, because Walt's an expert at wiping out a trail. Sister Screeve, looking alarmed, put down her quill. Do you think that the evil brother, this Gulo the Savage, will come here? Mayhaps he thinks that you and Walt found the walking stone and have taken it with you. Skipper patted her back reassuringly. Don't fret, ma'am. Jem and Walt knows all the skills of woodcraft. I wager not even a hungry serpent could have followed him here. Ain't that right, father? Humble trusted the Otter chieftain's judgment. Skipper's right, Sister Screeve. No need for you or any other Redwaller to worry over such things. However, I'll be obliged if you didn't go speaking of the incident to others. No need to concern them unduly. Formal Bruffy held a big, blunt digging claw to his mouth. She knows there's a arms. Old Jemby's fallen asleep in. Jem's head dropped back upon the cushions. A combination of food, ale and warmth had lulled him into a peaceful slumber. Removing the empty tankard from Jem's grasp, the abbot lowered his voice. Poor weary travellers, they both look worn out. Leave them to their rest, friends. Let's go and see what mischief those Dibbons are up to. Silently, the Redwallers tiptoed from the cavern hall. Skipper and Abbot Humble were last to leave. The Otter chieftain latched the door gently, murmuring to Humble. No more fires on the wall tops for a while, father. And tell the wall guards to stay alert during the night and keep a weather eye peeled for anything unusual. No sense inviting trouble by being unprepared. The abbot patted Skipper's brawny paw. A good idea, my friend. I'll leave the arrangements to you. After breakfasting late, the Dibbons had stampeded out into the snow again. Inside, the abbey was relatively quiet. The dishes had been cleared away from great hall tables, and most of the elders had gone outdoors. Humble knew they went on the pretext of watching the Abbey babes, though mainly they wanted to join in the fun. Humble wandered over the worn floorstone, stopping at the tapestry of Martin the warrior. He it was who had fought to free Mossflower Country and helped to build the Abbey in the dim, countless seasons of long ago. Martin was the very essence and spirit of Redwall. Now his marvellous sword was displayed between two brackets over the tapestry. Humble gazed up at the figure of the heroic mouse, whose likeness was woven lovingly into the huge ancient tapestry. His features were strong and resolute, his eyes friendly, gallant and caring. He seemed to follow wherever one went. From outside the abbot could hear the distant merriment where every beast was playing on the abbey pond. It was a sound very dear to the old cellar hog, who had risen to be Father Abbot of Redwall. He whispered to Martin, Don't let any ill fortune disturb the peace and happiness of our home. I beg you, Martin. Lanterns flickered on each side of the tapestry, which rippled lightly in an errant breeze from the open door. But the figure of Martin the warrior did not stir. He stood steadfastly guarding his beloved abbey throughout the winter, as he had through time immemorial.